Certainly most, if not all, of San Francisco's stages are the world for our next guest, Sweet Pam Tent, currently in Tinsal Tarts and a Hot Coma. Say that 5 times fast.
Yeah, it's difficult.
So now, got to ask you, how'd you get the name Sweet Pam?
Oh boy, this goes back...
Which means you either are or you aren't.
I used to be. This goes back to my hippie days, pre-Cockette days. And it was given to me by a boyfriend back then, you know. So that's where it comes from.
Yeah. Now, you know, for those people who don't know the history of the Cockettes and Thrillpeddlers, give us a little history lesson. Who were they, and how did a nice girl like you end up with a bunch of crazy gay guys like that?
Right, straight out of all-girls Catholic school, bam, hit San Francisco at a young age, left college early, came to San Francisco, joined up with Hibiscus. There were 5 women in the Cockettes. Mostly this was after the Diggers and the San Francisco scene was starting to, the street scene was starting to wind down, but it basically moved from the street to the stage, and we started doing shows at the Palace Theater. There were a lot of gay men. It was a time before there were a lot of gay bars. It was pre-Pride parades, pre-everything.
Pre-AIDS?
Pre-AIDS, pre-herpes, you know, no holds barred, everything went.
Yeah, free love.
Free love for sure. And there was a lot going on there and not a lot of places to do it. So the Palace Theater became a central point and a great venue for people, for hybrid hippies. So you had the straights, and straight didn't mean sexually straight. It was just straight people, you know. So
like
you didn't
me
have
and
gay and well, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So you had a lot of crossover. You had gays, straights, hybrid hippies. Everybody came to the Palace. It was 1,300 seats.
Yeah.
It was a scene.
Now, also, for those people who don't know Hibiscus, please try and explain Hibiscus in a few words.
Oh, George Harris came from a theatrical family in New York. He grew up in the theater, La Mama, etc. He took LSD and he exploded, you know, as we all did. Basically, it was spearheaded by psychedelics in the beginning. We parodied everything. He was, as we all were, lovers of the 1930s, of the old movies, of the old shows, the Broadway shows, the show tunes, and that's how I met him. I was sleeping in Golden Gate Park and I heard some people singing, we're having a heat wave, and he and 2 friends were dressed very sprite-like up in a tree singing a show tune, a 40s show tune, you know. So that's how I met him. So he joined up with Sebastian, who was showing midnight movies at the Palace Theater, and he wanted to do a little show after the movies. And the movies didn't end until 2, sometimes 3, 4 in the morning. And at first it was just like a kick line, you know, and then it turned into a more and more elaborate show every month. And it drew quite a crowd, and people used to dress up. And the audience was as much a part of the show as the show, you know. And that's perhaps why New York was not as successful as it might have been, because people in New York, they consider theater a spectator sport.
That's it. You don't break that 4th wall.
Right. No, but here the audience was part of the stage, and in fact people from the audience were sometimes pulled on stage, and lovers of people in the cast were on stage in the dream sequence. You know, it was much freer. And we parodied all of the old movies, and it wasn't terribly rehearsed. A lot of spontaneity, and the audience loved it. It was a big party.
Yeah. So, I mean, you came far away from that Catholic girls' school.
Yes, I did.
Was Our Lady of something?
No, it was Marion, M-A-R-I-O-N, Marion, Birmingham, Michigan.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, being there on stage with the Cockettes, was that a revelation for you on many levels?
Well, no, because I had been taking LSD since it was legal, and when I was 16 years old. It was Sandoz LSD. So, yes, it was a revelation in a lot of ways to be up on stage, because I had done shows since I was a kid in the backyard. We had, my mother made curtains out of old GM trade show drapes, and we charged 3 cents to get in, and I took tap and ballet, so we trained the kids, and, you know, we did a show every summer.
Yeah.
So it fit right in with what I love to do, and meeting Hibiscus, it just, yeah, it was wonderful. It just went right in there.
So from LSD to Tinsal Tarts, quite a journey.
Yeah, but it's been wonderful to flesh out Tinsal Tarts, because the original Tinsal Tarts, which the Cockettes did in 1971, when they did 4 productions of it. We took it to New York. Rex Reed and Truman Capote banged the drum and got everybody all excited and hyped up, and went to New York, and it was never fleshed out. You know, so
Did Rex Reed and Truman Capote actually come to see it?
yes, they came to the Palace Theater, and and Rex Reed wrote a rave review that went nationwide. It was a syndicated column, and you know, Truman says this is the only theater, and they were caught up in it.
In the moment.
Yeah, and everybody saw dollar signs, and you know, they brought us to New York and basically hyped us to the wrong people. But getting back to Tinsal Tarts, it was a minimalist show. We had a lot of people who wanted to sing a number and a very low-level plot line. But now Scrumbly
Coleman, yeah.
Coldwin, and I have taken the 4-page outline, which wasn't a lot to begin with, like "Girls Go to Station" song, you know, and we fleshed it out. I've written almost all new dialogue. Scrumbly's written 18 new songs. We can't use the old standard American standards because they're copyrighted. And in the old days, the Cockettes didn't care. They used copyrighted material. Now it's all original songs done in that period. And we brought in other characters from the era, Edgar Casey, and you know, Groucho Marx, of course, is in it. And we've made the show what it could have been all along. And of course, the Thrillpeddlers, it's a perfect venue and the perfect cast to put this on.
In our last few moments, talk to me about those shows in the 70s. I mean, there was no YouTube then. There probably weren't a lot. I mean, there's not a lot of video that exists of that. How do you capture the essence of that period now? Can you, or is it just gone with the wind?
Well, it's in our minds. And
even with all the LSD, it's still in the mind.
Yeah, I know. Well, when the film The Cockettes, the documentary, came out, they had a hard time, but they did go around and find bits and snatches of dialogue and of film to include in the film. And so Bill and David did a really good job. But Scrumbly and I, we lived in Rumi. Rumi's in the show too, Rumi Misabu. He was one of the original Cockettes. So the three of us have managed to put our heads together, and it's been really a ball. It's been a blast.
Yeah. Tell us now, if someone wants information, they want to see the show, where do they go and where can they go online to get information?
Brown paper tickets and Thrillpeddlers.com. It's all there, and we'd love to see you, and you won't regret it. It's like taking LSD and watching a Busby Berkeley movie.
Well, boy, now that's the best thing I've heard yet. I'm going to go. Thank you. We've been speaking with Sweet Pam Tent, whose new show is Tinsal Tarts and a Hot Coma. I'm David Perry. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week on 10%.